All right, deep divers, welcome back. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe because today we are going deep into the world of media and politics.
Ooh, sounds juicy.
It is juicy. We're talking Bezos, Trump, and the Washington Post.
All right, so like a political thriller kind of thing.
Exactly. So get this right. Robert Kagan,
Oh, yeah, I know Robert Kagan.
longtime columnist, editor-at-large for the Washington Post, he decides
He was there forever.
to quit,
Mm.
but not quietly. No. He drops a bomb on the way out, claiming Jeff Bezos, the owner of the Washington Post, made a deal with Donald Trump.
Whoa, wait, okay, hold on. It's a pretty big accusation, right? Especially given their history.
Oh, yeah.
There's no love lost between those two.
Not at all.
Remember, like, all the public clashes and Trump's attacks on Amazon? Didn't Bezos, like, supposedly lose a defense contract after the Post endorsed Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, it was not a good relationship.
Right.
And it gets even spicier. Kagan claims that Trump met with executives from Bezos' space company.
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin, thank you. The very same day, Bezos allegedly squashed the Post's endorsement of Kamala Harris.
Whoa, okay, so the timing there is
Suspicious.
very suspicious. Makes you wonder if there was some pressure involved, right? Like,
All right.
was this meeting a way for Trump to make sure Bezos was going to hold up his end of the bargain?
Right, like what was going on in that meeting?
Yeah.
Well, Kagan seems to think something was up because he calls it a straight-up quid pro quo,
Quid pro quo.
which basically means this for that, a favor for a favor.
Yeah,
And legally, it often implies that something shady is going on.
exactly. So this isn't just like a handshake agreement. We're talking about something potentially much bigger.
Potentially much bigger, and if true.
Yeah, if true.
This is a big deal because it raises questions about whether Bezos, maybe tired of being in Trump's crosshairs, decided to protect his business interests by influencing the Post's coverage.
Right, because let's be real here. We're talking about the Washington Post,
Exactly.
a newspaper that's known for its serious journalism.
Hard-hitting journalism.
If these allegations are true, this could have a chilling effect on the entire media landscape.
On the entire media landscape. So it makes you wonder, are other media owners making similar deals with powerful figures?
Right, and if so, what does that mean for, like, the public's trust in the news? It's like a super slippery slope.
It really is. So
Yeah.
what do you think is going on here? Deep divers. Is Kagan telling the truth, or is this just a case of sour grapes? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that matter.
Yeah, it's definitely a story that makes you think, huh, is there something more here, you know?
Definitely. And it makes you think about like the bigger picture, right? Like we're talking about the influence of wealthy people on the media.
Oh, absolutely.
That should concern everyone.
It should, and it does. I mean, if billionaires can just like sway news coverage, to protect their businesses,
Yeah.
what does that say about the state of our democracy?
It's almost like a real-life house of cards,
Ooh,
but maybe with a little less murder.
hopefully.
But the stakes are just as high though, right?
Oh, for sure. A
Yeah.
free and independent press that's like essential for a healthy democracy. Essential.
It's how we hold the powerful accountable, right?
Yes.
It's how we get the information we need to make good decisions, and if that gets compromised,
We're all in trouble.
we are all in trouble big time.
So we've got these explosive accusations from Kagan, but is this just like a one-off thing, or are these kinds of deals between media owners and politicians like more common than we think?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure how widespread it is because obviously a lot of this stuff happens in secret.
Behind closed doors.
Right, but like history is full of examples of these media moguls, using their influence to push their own agenda.
Yeah, like William Randolph Hearst, right?
Exactly.
He was like notorious for using his newspapers to like stir up public opinion.
Oh, totally. Even to like push the U.S. into war with Spain.
Yeah, crazy.
Hearst is a classic example of how media power can be used for political gain. And like, even in more recent times, we've seen these big media conglomerates lobbying for laws that benefit them,
Right.
sometimes at the expense of the public.
So this is not a brand new problem.
Not at all. But knowing that doesn't make it any less concerning.
No, not at all. And it's especially troubling in this case because it involves the Washington Post, a publication that's supposed to be like a watchdog.
Right, keeping those in power accountable.
Exactly.
And Kagan's not just throwing out these accusations, he's making specific claims about how Bezos is allegedly trying to shift the Post's editorial stance to be more center-right,
Oh, interesting.
like the Wall Street Journal.
Okay, so more conservative.
Yeah.
Then that brings us to Will Lewis. The Washington Post's publisher Kagan kind of suggests that Lewis was brought in specifically to oversee this shift. But Lewis denies that Bezos had anything to do with the decision not to endorse Harris, saying he just doesn't believe in presidential endorsements.
But there are other reports that Lewis actually fought hard to keep the Harris endorsement.
So now we have conflicting information.
Yeah, so was Lewis acting on his own, or was he like following orders from Bezos?
Yeah, it's tough to know for sure, but this contradiction definitely adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah, it really does.
And it makes you think about how much autonomy do journalists and editors really have, even at a prestigious publication like the Washington Post.
Right. Like, are they truly independent?
Right.
So what does all of this mean for the future of the Post? Kagan predicts some journalists are going to leave, some are going to stay, and the paper's editorial direction could change significantly.
It's a pretty bleak picture.
Yeah.
And, it's not just about the Post, This story has the potential to, really damage public trust in the media as a whole.
Yeah.
When people start to believe that the news is being manipulated for, political reasons or financial gain,
Right.
it becomes harder to have a shared understanding of reality.
Which is like the foundation of a functioning democracy.
Exactly. If we can't agree on the basic facts,
Yeah.
how can we have productive conversations about the important issues?
Yeah.
It just all falls apart.
So what can we do as individuals? It feels like we're up against some pretty powerful forces here.
Yeah. It can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't mean we're powerless. We can start by just being more aware of our own biases, the sources that we rely on and the filters we use to process information.
Yeah, it feels like we're living in this time where you just don't know what to believe anymore.
Totally. We're just bombarded with information all the time, and it's hard to separate fact from fiction,
And that's where media literacy comes in.
Yeah.
We can't just be passive anymore. We have to be active participants in the information we're taking and questioning things, thinking critically about who's saying it and why.
Exactly. It's you got to be a detective.
Yes.
You got to look for clues. Consider all sides, weigh the evidence.
Okay, so let's put on our detective hats for a second and go back to this Bezos-Trump situation.
Okay.
If Kagan's telling the truth, what does this tell us about the relationship between power, money, and information?
How they all intersect.
Yeah.
It suggests that people with a lot of wealth and influence can use that to shape the stories that the public hears.
Which is scary.
It's very unsettling.
Because if we can't trust the information we're getting, how can we make decisions about our lives, our communities? How can we run a country?
Right. It undermines the whole idea of a democracy, where people are supposed to have the power to govern themselves based on facts.
So what can we do about it? This feels like such a huge problem.
It is a big problem, but it doesn't mean we're powerless.
Okay.
We can start by just being more aware of our own biases, right? What are the sources what are the filters we're using?
Right. And being willing to step outside our echo chambers.
Totally.
Listen to perspectives that challenge our own views.
Yeah, and be skeptical.
Be skeptical.
If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Probably is.
And also support organizations that are working to promote media literacy. Holding media outlets accountable.
Absolutely.
And providing access to, diverse and reliable information.
Yes, because a well-informed public, that is the best defense against manipulation and misinformation.
100% knowledge is power, but only if it's based on truth.
Deep divers, this has been a journey.
It has.
We started with a bombshell resignation, dug into allegations of a quid pro quo, explored the potential consequences for the Washington Post and the media landscape, ended up grappling with some really big questions.
Big questions about power, information, and democracy.
Yeah, huge questions.
And hopefully this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Some tools to navigate this crazy world.
It's a wild world out there.
So what do you think, deep divers? Do you believe Bezos struck a deal with Trump? Is this just a one-off, or is it a symptom of a larger problem? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, and share this episode with your friends.
Spread the word.
Until next time, keep diving deep.